It has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one, welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me, as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th. And there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said
no evidentiary value?
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No.
Why?
Because the investigation remains ongoing.
Yeah, I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi Dad, I know this has been a family, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can rent the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday with all decent clothes? Mom!
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
Mic check. There we go. All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great Easter weekend. Let's see where to start. So much. 3 different angles we're going to look at today.
Anything that we can to...
Hey, I'm talking, Katie. Wait your turn. Anyway, welcome. Let me know if you can hear me okay in chat. And let me just quickly, oh boy, I don't know if I can pronounce that. I'm just going to go BA for right now. Jababy? Is it Jababy? If I pronounce that wrong, I might just stick with Ba or BA. Jababy. Jababy. I think it's Jababy, but I could be wrong. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Sassy released that crack, and I appreciate that. Classic movie. Old one and new one. Jen, thank you so much for the best YouTuber. I appreciate it. And thank you, Angel of Light. Great job. Keep going, Chris. Be blessed. God bless you. Thank you guys so much for the support. And Patty, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. We're trying. Even though I could be covering the Nancy Guthrie case, and I will eventually, but there's just so much. I mean, in the past month and a half, I guess, time flies now. Just so much information, and cracking the 3am light video has been huge. I am working on a video. It's pretty much finished, but then there was something that I discovered that, because there's just so much to this case. And it's something that I built into the 3M, and it revolves around the dog scent and what Crispy told narc divers. And I thought about that again, and now with understanding the 3M light video now, because I was looking at the dogs kind of laterally, like 2D, and now kind of thinking a little more outside the box, 3D, 4D, however you want to interpret it. What the dogs and what Chris claims one of the dogs does, now under this new light, makes so much sense, and I'm like, I have to add this in. Like, this is like crazy. So that's why I haven't released this video, a short video with the 3M lights being solved. Plus, I want to put the timers and everything. That's one thing I haven't added on as well. So I'm still working on it. I was hoping I could release it before Easter, but the dog thing hit me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So we'll go over that. The more and more I look into this, I don't think he ever made it home. And again, I was on the fence for a long time. Now with more inside information, again, it doesn't mean I know 100% he didn't make it home, but man, there's so much. And so we're going to go over that, all the clues. There's a lot. I'm going to do a members live as well after this. So I'm going to try to keep this short, try to keep it 2 hours or under. And yeah, so anyways, thank you everybody. Hit that like button. Let's let Katie talk for just a second. I think there was like one or two things I wanted to. We played this last time. I'm not going to play too much of this. This is really chopped up from her 2-year anniversary. The only one she could, have the time for Sebastian. Just shows you how much they care. So let's play this for just a second. Just a few clips.
To encourage people to be aware and help him find.
This is your opportunity
to
address any of these
been
people.
On the fence.
2 different scenarios, because I know you were telling me earlier that there are lots of threats that come to you guys. Is there anything you want to say?
I would say
thank you, Kiki. I appreciate that.
Threats, lies, or misinformation.
I'd be more than happy to walk with your ass, but you got to get out behind your fucking keyboard first, bitch.
I forgot I added that in.
Well, damn.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You got.
I think I edited this a little bit weird. Anyway, okay. Real quick, we'll play Sebastian's, little recap. I know 99.9% of you all know what happened to Sebastian, or, his story, I should say. We don't know exactly what happened to him. But we're slowly putting little pieces together. Still so much more we don't know than we do know, but I think we're at least understanding more than we have 2 years ago, in my opinion. I mean, still there's so much we don't know, but I think it now kind of shows. Again, this is what part of the live is going to be about, is like, I think they kind of wanted this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's play the recap, and then I think they wanted everybody looking in one particular area. And in a way, it's kind of like genius, but at the same time, these guys aren't career criminals. There's so many mistakes. But anyway, let's play this real quick, and then get to the main part of the story.
Declared missing and endangered, but on the next day, on the 27th, they escalated his case to Amber Alert status. Why?
This is a News 2 breaking news alert.
And we need to start that breaking news right now. An Amber Alert has just been issued for missing Hendersonville teenager Sebastian Rogers.
In this video, I'm going to prove what caused the Amber Alert and why it's still active. I will back this up with literally one of the biggest clues many people have missed, and why certain family members and law enforcement agencies don't want you to know about this giant clue that was there all along. Welcome and get comfortable. You are now watching The Mob Crew. In this video, I'm going to prove what caused the Amber Alert, and literally crush and end certain ongoing debates with a clue that is so big they don't want you to know. Chapter 1. From missing and endangered to Amber Alert. Just after Rogers was reported missing on day 1, law enforcement was seen, looking for any surveillance footage around the neighborhood of Rogers. Law enforcement would soon find out that one home did indeed capture something on the early morning hours of the 26th. That home was located here, and what they captured would become infamously known as the 3 a.m. lights. And on the next day, February 27th, sometime during the afternoon, the TBI would post that an Amber Alert was issued in the Rogers case, based on additional investigative information. This was certainly no coincidence.
Alert.
And we need to start that breaking news right now. An Amber Alert has just been issued for missing Hendersonville teenager Sebastian Rogers.
Officials tell me Sebastian Rogers is an autistic 15-year-old with glasses, dirty blonde hair, and was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt and sweatpants around midnight Sunday night.
Definitely increases the volatility of the situation. The medicine was there, obviously to treat his autism. So how he responds to that once the medicine is out of his system is really not my expertise, but I do know that it's going to have a negative effect on him.
Here are the criterias needed for an Amber Alert: confirmed abduction, imminent danger, targeted information, and age requirement. That's right, confirmed abduction is one of the main criterias for an Amber Alert, and it's still active. Would be commonly known as the...
Okay. Alright. Work with me here. Kiki, yeah, that is definitely one thing on my list, and for sure it will eventually be done. It will require some more work, but yeah, it would be nice to be able to get footage and line that up with how I mentioned, the dispatch, especially those first couple of hours between 7 and maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m., or 10 p.m., 10 a.m., not that long. But yeah, that it would be a definitely interesting project, because I would love to see what they're doing. Obviously, we'd only have certain perspectives from it, but it would be interesting to see especially, a certain individual neighbor who's allegedly riding around with them. I would kind of be interested to see, is he walking around with them, or is he just driving around? Because, again, I haven't seen that part. I only got certain hours from that morning, because that mostly when I was getting the footage, I was mainly focused on the hours that would certain time windows that made sense to me. Okay. Katie Stinkfeek's interviews. We kind of went over this last live. I broke it down. I think there's one or two things I wanted to play from this. So let me play it first and see. There's at least one. But we'll get to the main part here in just after this interview. What we want to focus on.
What would you say to him if he were to walk through that door?
I would tell him that we love you. I would tell him that we miss you so very much. I would tell him to stay strong. I would tell him to hang in there, and that if he ever had the opportunity to reach out and get a safe adult and, call 911 if you have to, that we're looking, and we're never going to stop looking, and that I pray that he's okay, and that everyone...
You have never been seen, or no one's ever mentioned one time about a flyer. I think the only thing we could say besides the one that's sitting in the yard is, didn't they have a magnetic one on their car for maybe a day or a weekend? If I recall, there was a sighting of that. Is Chris in the chat? I would not be surprised. Those guys, obviously, they're on certain channels for a reason. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys probably put that together. The reason why they're on, used to be on Cluminati, but can't do that anymore. So Queen Bee would be the next. And that's because, they're kind of on the other side. And so obviously, and with them kind of being a bigger platform, following, everybody's going to tell them whatever, new stuff's going to go on. So it only makes sense for them to kind of tune in, and chat, act, hey, what's going on? And then, they get filled in on, that little clip, I only played a short one, but obviously that was the clip where they talked about when we were doing the fundraiser. And so they're hearing all about that. And yeah, of course they're doing that, but I guarantee you, anytime, I'm sure if there's Sebastian live, hey, Crispy. Hey,
everyone
KK.
at home loves you, Sebastian, and everyone wants you to come home. And
where you guys at? You guys aren't
We're
home.
here.
So what happens when Sebastian like comes home?
We're here.
No, you're not. You are far from there. He walks home. He's
keep searching.
I feel bad. I guess that blanket. I guess that's why she left out the blanket. On the first night or whatever, because they're not there. They're not home, and they'll probably be gone for most of the. Again, I'm just guessing. Probably be gone most of the year. We're just kind of basing off what they did last year, but we know they're gone. Again, I'm not encouraging anybody to follow or stalk these, individuals. I'm just saying people are keeping their peepers out, and there's sightings here and there, and yeah.
Until my last breath, I'll never stop. I'll never stop searching for him.
What was the last update that you received from investigators?
Unfortunately, the updates that we receive are about the same as the public, that they do still get.
Uncle Taco, can I share my GoFundMe? I'm going to be honest. I am really, no offense to you, Uncle Taco. I don't know you that very, very well. And I'm telling you right now, like, I could easily be a trap. Sorry, people know Uncle Taco better than I do. I am very wary about that. I really don't ever do anybody else's GoFundMe unless it's one I do, because that way I know where the money's going and I can prove where it's going. And I've always done that. I've always been transparent. So again, no offense, Uncle Taco. If you are, that's amazing. I'm glad you're out there searching, and I understand like it costs money if that's going on. But yeah, I personally would not feel comfortable unless we knew each other much better. So anyway, I thought I would address that because, yeah. Anyway, okay, I know where I'm going with this. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked. But yeah, for whoever's out there searching, because yeah, this would be the time. It's spring. Yeah, all the best.
And that they do follow up on them, but unfortunately, there's nothing significant to report at this
I'll have
point
to
that we know of.
Look at it, Uncle Taco.
I know
and
that we don't know everything, but
no promises, but maybe somewhere else, maybe I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to promise anything. I am so wary unless it's something that I am personally doing because I know where the money is going. And again, that is just no offense to. I would say that to anybody unless I knew them personally.
My prayer is that if something significant comes in,
I know it's cringe,
that we would know right away.
There's one more thing.
The FBI is offering this.
Oh, this is it. So yeah, this is something I also talked about in the last live, but I just want to play this part and we'll move on from KK.
$50,000 or up to $50,000 for information now leading to Sebastian's whereabouts. So do you feel that more needs to be offered or something else needs to be done for someone to come forward?
I would hope that it wouldn't take money for someone to come forward in something like this. I'm grateful for the FBI offering that $50,000 reward. I would give anything to have Sebastian home, and unfortunately, I think $50,000 should have been, if someone knew something, should have been a very big.
That's all her son's worth to her.
Incentive, but I mean, put $1 million up.
Why don't you?
I know that his Amber Alert is still active as well, but
you guys clearly had the funds, and you could have easily put up a match. I mean, God, 5,000, 10,000, anything, just a little something. Nothing from them, and obviously they want his story to just disappear. They want to just disappear into the sunset. It is just plain as day that they do not want anything to do with this case. They just want to move on with their life, act like Sebastian never existed. So moving on, somebody mentioned something, brought this to my attention. And I thought that was interesting, but I don't know how much we can compare it, but I am going to bring this up. So if you guys remember his missing posters, originally, and I think this is the original one that kind of came out. Amber Alert was issued on the behalf of Sebastian Rogers. And the big thing is, as I said, February 26th, along with, and this is the important part, Sebastian was last seen February 26th. Now remember, that has since been changed, right? Because people are wondering, well, wait a minute, like, he was last seen in bed at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever. Or if you want to go off the FBI, well, not FBI, but her statement of him taking out the trash and allegedly being seen on camera. But again, where does the 26 come from? And I'm so glad at the very least people got that to change. But this is the other interesting part. In the area of Stafford Court, which is obviously the road, their neighborhood in Henderson, Tennessee. And then eventually the date would get changed, which again is interesting. But then on the 2-year anniversary, and again, only because it's not a poster. Oh, and then FBI, and this is where they did update it. And it did also, there's blown up here, was last seen February 25th, so they updated it in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So once again, even though the dates changed, they say in the area of Stafford Court. So basically saying he was last seen in his neighborhood. And then the 2-year anniversary, Sumner County put this out. Now, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate, but I do think this is interesting to point out. And it's the first sentence. Again, I can't take credit. Somebody emailed this to me. It's been 2 years since Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers was last seen in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Which is interesting. They don't say was last seen on Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So that is interesting. But at the same time, it's not technically a missing persons poster. And it doesn't have that last seen February 25th on Stafford Court. So again, playing devil's advocate. But that is interesting. Are they wising up and going more general that they don't know he made it home? Or is it looking too much into it? I don't know. But I do think that's interesting that somebody sent that to me. It would be interesting to see like a 2-year anniversary poster directly from them, not made by a third party. As far as I know, I don't think one was made unless somebody knows in chat. I'd be curious to see what it says, but I thought that was interesting. But again, it's tough because it's not a one-to-one, exact comparison. Kiki says news station also says last seen walking along Long Hollow Pike. Also, one flyer has a Knoxville, Tennessee. I do remember the Knoxville, yeah. For TBI, which is 4 hours away from his home. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, Jacqueline, thank you so much for the Venmo. I appreciate that. You guys keep me going on this case because, and again, I do have to take a break from it from time to time. It was nice to kind of switch over to Nancy Guthrie because I need to sometimes you get so focused on something that you just you're tunnel visioned, and then you're you're boxed in on your thought process of what other possibilities. Okay, so now the main bulk of the show. So obviously, I've said it, I've been all over the fence when it comes to did he make it home? And the 3 a.m. video kind of had me convinced that he made it home, along with the cemetery stuff. It was like, oh my God, there's so much going on. Like, that's a lot of stuff. And then, cracking the 3 a.m. and of course getting the inside information, which, when I do a members live, again, I can't reveal everything, but, I can kind of tiptoe around some things on some insider information that we'll do. And you guys can ask me a question. We'll do like Q&A, something like that, because I haven't done a members live for a while. But anyway, here are a couple of interesting things to note. Obviously, we have Green Hoodie Lady, and I know there's a lot more other channels have delved much deeper into this. I mean, I have a little bit. Eventually, I will come back around because if this is where he was last at and he never made it home, then, there's got to be more clues here. Obviously, Green Hoodie, big one. To me, the best match is KK's mother. Again, we kind of gone over that. She's around the same height. The lady, the green lady person, their height. I did one where I overlaid where Sebastian and Katie were standing, and I believe one's 5'6", 157, right? Forget the heights. I got them written down somewhere. And I get mixed up with Nancy Guthrie, so because I have his height, so and my dyslexia. But anyway, she's around Green Hoodie. She's around their height, right? Which is interesting. And the mother, KK's mother, is around that height and has that build, and she had cut her hair short. So I think, in my personal opinion, the best candidate, doesn't mean it is 100%, was KK's mother. Not saying that is, but that for me, that's like the closest we can get. Diana believes there's a guy. I disagree, but it could be. I mean, it's bold to go into a woman's bathroom. That I think that was kind of in the walk. Again, the way that person moves around the car, it reminds me of my mom. She used to like when she's around like certain obstacles, curbs, you could trip. I don't know. To me, that looks like they walk like a. To me, it feels like they walk like a woman, and they went into the women's restroom. Again, still could be a man, but I lean towards a woman personally. That's the thing, Angie's like that's a whole shit show in itself, because suddenly they find this person. This gets released like December. Oh God, I forget the exact dates. Like early December, this gets released, which is a whole interesting story, which also just fits into like he never made it home. Then like within like, what was it, 3-4 days, they allegedly find this person. With less than a week, they find this person somehow and vet them, and it's not them. Then Seth said like they showed him like a body cam, but they couldn't show him the actual person, which makes no sense, because like, does this person just like nobody? Why are you hiding their identity? That's so sus to me. So it's like, here, I'm going to show you. It's almost like what Fish Sticks did, like with when he released the 3 a.m. clip, from behind, looking at behind the house of the Stink Feet, and he's like, hey, look, there's nothing going on at 3:10 or 3:07 a.m., but yeah, he like blurs everything, and it's like, well, how? And then of course, we find out when it's unblurred that, yeah, it's you didn't want us to know that Kitty's bedroom light was on. Anyway, so yeah, I don't trust Sumner County as far as I could throw them. So obviously we have the switch, and again, not going to dive too much into that, but clearly super sus. Looks like she puts in, I think she could have been switched phones, so many different things. And then the other interesting thing, and I forgot about this, is allegedly, there's only 6 minutes of audio of Sebastian. And this is at least a 15-minute drive. And some people say you can make it like 10 minutes, depending on the traffic, but we'll just go with the 15 minutes. And allegedly there's only 6 minutes of audio. And what confirmed that? So I did a little baiting, a little fishing for fish sticks, which is kind of interesting. Snarky Chris coming out. I did a little fishing with fish sticks, and this was over a year ago when I got this info, and I'm like, I want to know how much this info, because it comes from a reliable source that has been, everything else has been, like more or less 90%, maybe it like, it's a little bit of telephone game where we've had to kind of like the story isn't 100% accurate, it's been kind of altered, I guess, anyway, I don't think I have it here, but I do have it at the end. 18 minutes. We're at 18 minutes. I'll just jump to it real quick. Real quick, and then we're going to get into the big stuff. Is it at the end? Did I cut it out? Yes, right there. Right there. So I did a video. This was the last year. And again, really good source. And again, remember, Fish Sticks doesn't. I mean, he came after me a lot last year, I think, but obviously it's sporadic. In between mini lives, but I thought it was so revealing when I put this out. As you can see in my thumbnail, I have only 6 minutes of audio relating to the dash cam, because they had a dash cam, right? And I had heard from a pretty good source that there was only 6 minutes of audio of him on there. Yet again, it's a 15, approximately a 15-minute drive back. So I put that out there, and then what do you know? He, posts it. Clearly, he, I was live at the time. He took a screenshot and, does his typical tragedy clickbait, the usual stuff he does, and says, and that told me a lot. That told me, I'm like, oh shit, that is probably a tangible. Again, Fish Sticks, I don't know. He's the gift that keeps on giving, even though he is a dirt bag. But man. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, 6 minutes. And then with Fish Sticks doing that, that just confirmed, like, yep, she probably had him talking. And then what's interesting is there's 6 minutes, and I have this on the thing here, is the 6 minutes. Let me go back here on the map. Oh, was it after this? Oh, yeah. So when you're driving back, obviously there's a couple of different ways, but the main way is to kind of go up, and you have like stop 30, or you could, I think, take the Veterans Boulevard. I think you can hop on that one. Not 100%, but anyway, if you go up and you take stop 30, and then it takes you to New Shackle, and there was an alleged sighting at BP, which is on that corner there at the 3-way. I don't know, maybe that's a 4-way. Which was interesting. Allegedly KK in another car. And this also adds into when KK first arrived, there was a car allegedly following KK. I think it was a dark car. I don't know if it was a sedan or SUV. And it was seen on another camera, allegedly like circling and waiting, and then when she left, allegedly it left with her. So that could have been the car. And again, obviously the camera is pointed towards the road, so it could look like she just stopped for gas as she's heading home, and then just moved Sebastian out. And then you could easily have a recording of Sebastian, or go, oh, Sebastian, you're going to take a nap while I go into the thing, act like you're talking to him. Anyway, there's so many things that they could do, shady shit. And so it looks like she drove him home, but, he got switched out halfway there. Yeah, in a way it is. And I think more and more is Lisa Boo, I like what I find that's funny what you said about fish sticks. Maybe careful with the other H word, but yeah. So anyway, and of course this is what all they would see, and then they'd have audio. So moving on, I'm gonna get to the bulk of
Taking
this.
the trash out. Wait. Then at one.
So we're gonna skip this.
9 to 12. I'm going to go to bed at about 9, right?
Okay.
I was able to clear it up.
And I promise you, when we get to the dog part, this is kind of something I'm adding into the 3 a.m. lights video, because like it just like a bulb went off, and I'm like, how did I not see that before? But here's 2 things from this call. I'm not going to play the entire call, even though I have the entire call here. I just want to play, I think there's 2 parts that I want to touch on. But anyway, let me read this. Southos, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. His body language says it all. Oh yeah, 100%. And I think even Seth has said like, yeah, he didn't look right. In my opinion, he knows that person. And does, and if that was his grandma, who again, remember, is not supposed to be around kids. And I think next month, actually, KK's mother will have to update her photo again. So it'll be interesting. Does she have long hair, short hair? And yeah, because she's on the, she's a RSO. I can't use that word on YouTube, but yeah. So every 2 years they have to update her photo. Sorry, and yeah, it doesn't look comfortable seeing them. Bless his heart. Thank you again, Chris. Always brilliant work. Thank you so much. I agree, Laura. 100%. 100%. I may go into that, Sasha. That's a great question, because I know that gets brought up a lot. But yeah, not this live, but we'll have to kind of maybe go over that, because there's interesting things that Crispy has told others about the dam and the creek and all that.
I was him from a mile away because of how he brought.
Okay. Sorry, that might be a little loud. Let me turn this down. Hopefully I didn't cut this part out. There's something at the first of this call and something at the end.
On video, and the FBI was able to clear it up and confirm that it's him, even though.
Oh yeah, I cut out the beginning. Dang it. Oh well. This will be fine. But there's something in the beginning. So in this phone call at the beginning, and she's trying to get the timeline, Heather, and it's like pulling teeth, and Chris is just, acting like he's hired, like he hired her. It's like it's his PI. So crazy the way he thinks, and that she's supposed to be delivering all the answers to him. So ass backwards. But what I find funny is before this, she talks about Life 360 and that they have the upgraded Life 360. And again, I'm not an Apple guy, but that is where, like, if you're familiar with the Riley Strand case, it was kind of the same thing, strain, where, he had Apple device, and like they noticed, like they kind of seen him on surveillance, and then all of a sudden his device, his Life 360, all of a sudden just like went out, as if he got either fell over the bridge or somebody robbed him and then threw him off the bridge, or not the bridge, but that overhang or whatever, that little, I can't call it a cliff, but bank. And anyway, so yeah, it's the same thing. It tracks your, stuff, your health, your all that stuff, your location. It's GPS with, extra stuff with it. Anyway, it's funny. So in the beginning, and this is the part that I also wanted to play, but I cut it out. is she's trying to get the timeline of Sunday, BJ's, Strike and Spare, Texas Roadhouse, and she's trying to get timestamps, right? She's trying to get, like timestamps. And Katie's literally saying, yeah, we just spoke, we spoke with FBI and all them, and they have the timestamps because I have upgraded Life 360. I'm like, okay, well, then the exact timestamps, because this interview is not far off, it's like a month out from him disappearing, give or take. And of course, they can't give exact times. And then, of course, Chris then even goes further to say, well, we were told we can't give exact times.
You can tell it's him from a mile away because of how he runs. It's just, you can tell from his mannerisms. The second you look at it, it's him running, but still.
So he took the trash about 15 minutes, and that was about what time was that?
Don't know exactly off the top of our head.
Well, I know you told him to go to bed at about 9, right? Mm-hmm. And how much time was between the trash and going to bed?
A couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I already addressed this in the last slide, but again, it's the same concept. She asked, what time was he running out? And she literally just said, like,
about 15 minutes. And that was about what time was that?
Don't know exactly off the top of our head.
But yet, just a second ago, she just said that, like, we looked at the footage with, FBI or whatever, which would have had the timestamp and everything on it. And so when, they say that, it's like, what the hell? You guys exactly, you know exactly what time. And what's funny is thank goodness to Sheriff Weatherford. Is it, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, former sheriff. He said 6:20, but I think he was, because there was like a time change or whatever. I think it was 7:20. Which again, remember, they left at 6:25. It should only take them 15 minutes to get home. So that puts it at 6:40, right? 15 minutes, 6:25. Yep, 30, 40. Gotta hope my math hasn't gone to shit. Yeah, that's 6:40. If she drove straight there and encountered a little bit of traffic, let's add 20 minutes. So it's 6:45. She says that 15 minutes later, he takes out the trash. Yet, it almost seems like she didn't get back home until like almost 7. Again, I can't confirm that. I'm just going off what the Weatherford, what he would say later, the 6:20, which I really think he just had the hour wrong. And it was 7:20 when some individuals seen running, taking the trash out. So I think there was much bigger time than we know between the Roadhouse and home, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, I know you told him to go to bed at about 9, right? Mm-hmm. And how much time was between the trash and?
But they should have gotten there earlier if they went straight home.
Okay. And then you guys were on the phone from about 9 to 12.
Okay, so moving on from that, Josh from the lab. Man, he made my life so hard. I love Josh from the lab. God bless him. Covers this case from time to time. Has Chris McDonough on, which I would love to have on. But somehow he had this call, and the only way I could get it was off his video. He has all these sound effects, which are hilarious. He's timed them just great, but man, I had to edit all that out. And it took, I swear to God, it took like a day to edit like a 15-minute phone call because of him. Anyway.
It was about 6 a.m.
He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise and I was like, I don't care what you're doing
move to
in
the
there,
next
but
one.
go to sleep. And
oh yeah, that's your Sunday night.
I got up and I went to bed.
Yeah.
And then nothing until you went to wake him up, right?
No, nothing until she went to wake him up.
And that was about 6 a.m.
So, and tell her what you just said, so that way, for the record, make it clear.
No, but that's how shit gets started.
No, because she said that what I told you about hearing the noise, her saying go to bed, and he said yes, ma'am. Apparently that's wrong. So correct it.
Oh, that's classic. Anyway, I would love to dive back into that. Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm sure that's probably part true. I don't know if it'd be over an hour. I bet that's, but I think she definitely took longer. Right. And again, if you just plug it in, it's I think it's 10 to 12 miles. And obviously typically you go every mile is every minute, really, for the most part. But yeah, it's only, again, I've heard people, they said they can really get there from Texas Roadhouse back to her house in 10 minutes. But yeah, Google typically on average, because, now it's kind of updated if there's, because it's a little bit more live time, with Google Maps and everything with traffic, if there's red areas, whatever, construction or accident. Anyway, but yeah, it's usually 15 minutes. And again, going off that, he should have been seen taking out the trash or somebody at 7 p.m., but it sounds like it was definitely after 7 p.m., which again means took longer to get home. Why?
I told him, I don't care what you're doing, knock it off and go to sleep.
Did he answer?
He said, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Once again, right back to what I fucking said.
Okay.
Yeah, the Warshims thing, I still think that's legit, but I think what we thought, because, really kind of thought he was moved around, but this is kind of where part of the life's going to go, is not just, kind of going over theory that he didn't make it home, which again, I am 95%. Again, it doesn't mean he couldn't have made it home for those that still may think he did, but I'm going to show some other interesting stuff.
A thud. You stated that you...
And so here, I've added on things where there's just so many things that, from her story that just got added on. The thud was never mentioned until I think just Nancy Grace. And yeah. Okay. So now we have, and this is where Snarky Chris is really going to start to come out, because I think some of you guys know some OGs in here, and maybe some are newer, but for those that are newer, don't know, fortunately my health, I feel like I'm getting better, but not near close to 100%. But every year I would go out and search, and I usually had my one case, Aiden Clune, which we had a big breakthrough 2 years ago, which I would love to go back out. Anyway, but for those that don't know, I worked on that case and the Dylan Rounds case, which was really popular. And I got to work with Texas EquiSearch, who was also involved in this search. And I'll get to why I'm bringing this up, because in a way, again, I'm not saying these guys are geniuses at any point, but in a way it is kind of it's so deceptive and so disgusting when you really think about this, because this is one of the biggest manhunts in Tennessee for a child. The amount of money, manpower spent, 90% are volunteers, except for maybe the law enforcement that, are probably getting paid. But other than that, you've got mostly volunteers. They get room and board, but again, they're not getting paid to go out and search. They're just doing this other kindness of heart. But just look at this massive search, and then think about he never made it over there, right? This is the thing that's like a mental mind F. And I'll just say it, a mental mind fuck. Because it's like, if this is true, he was never over there.
And knock it off and go to sleep.
So And you guys get what I'm saying here.
15-year-old you see here first reported missing Monday, and law enforcement talking today about what they're now doing and how you can help.
Let's get right out to News Channel 5's Kelsey Gibbs. She's been out there all day. Kelsey, what is the latest?
Hey, Carrie and Rory, yes, you can see behind me still a very busy command post here, but law enforcement, they have drones. They have all other types of aircrafts like helicopters, canines, and horses, all searching for Sebastian. But what they really need is the help of the public to search around on their property. This is the plea from Sumner County officials. There have been no sightings of Sebastian on home surveillance cameras so far, and the teen's scent, his smell, hasn't been picked up by any canine.
Okay. Right there. That's important. And this will be so important. Oh my God. I promise you, this will be good. This will kind of the middle part that I'm saving it for.
Of Sebastian on home surveillance cameras so far, and the teen's scent, his smell, hasn't been picked up by any canine. Law enforcement say they just want to find the
If a picture could speak a million words, is that the phrase, right? Even though it's not picture, but if this video, and where she's standing, I'm telling you guys, when we get to the dog part, hopefully I'll blow some minds here, because this adds into the 3 a.m. kind of solving it, and yeah, but where she's at, and this dog knows, and she knows. I swear to God, they both know what's going on. I don't think they know the whole thing, right? But I think they know, like, wait a minute, something's funky here, and we'll get into that. Let me go full screen because I want to show, because I really want to express, like, again, this is one of the biggest manhunts for a child. God knows how much money, what was the total money spent on searching for this child. And they were probably looking in an area that they were nowhere close because they thought he made it home, when a scenario is that before, after Texas Roadhouse, he gets switched out to another car, and let's just say they go east, right? But yet but maybe they keep him close because they need to get his clothes back, right? They need to get his clothes back. So maybe he isn't far gone yet, but eventually will be, well before these guys ever get there. And so yeah, you got all this manpower, and he's probably now, like, praying that he's still alive and maybe getting transferred somewhere else. And they're all the way over here, and he's already, like, long gone. Anyway, it's just a mental mind F.
And bring him home. First responders have covered more than 2,000 miles.
Yeah, hit that like button. I promise. I got some interesting stuff coming.
The autistic teen was last seen early Monday in the area of Stadford Court in Hendersonville. An Amber Alert was issued for Sebastian later that day to help with the search. That would have been nice, Jacqueline. Chief Deputy Eric Craddock says they are operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked away from his home. Law enforcement again calling on the public for help. They said check your property, as well as things like crawl spaces and creeks and trailers and stuff like that. They say that also to do it in pairs, because law enforcement says if they spot two people from the air, they won't assume it's Sebastian walking in a field alone. And of course, if you see something, say something.
We have had several clips that have come in. Several of them we've been able to dispel that's not Sebastian on that clip. We are still working every lead that comes in. So as the video comes in, our detectives, we're working.
What clip's he talking about? That's kind of interesting. Now kind of knowing more, what clip's he talking about? That is interesting. Back that up real quick.
People from the air, they won't assume it's
This is like Dave. Oh, I think this is March 4th.
Sebastian walking in a field alone. And of course, if you see something, say something.
So we
have had several clips that have come in. Several of them we've been able to dispel that's not Sebastian on that clip.
Could that be the one that was allegedly taken out of the trash can? Or is that the 3 a.m. video? Or is it the neighbor walking his dog?
We are still working every lead that comes in. So As the video comes in, our detectives, we're working really well alongside the TBI and all of our other law enforcement partners in the region to make sure that we're getting on them just as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Janet, it was. And this is where I'm going to get like
Now we have seen law enforcement officials from Gallatin, White House, all over Sumner County, as well as the TWRA helping in this search. We've also been told by law enforcement that Sebastian Rogers' family is cooperating with officials. Reporting live in Sumner County, Kelsey Gibbs, News Channel 5.
Kelsey, we appreciate the update. You know, so many people want to help. We know that. But right now, officials still want to avoid having hundreds and hundreds of people in the woods looking for Sebastian.
When they already have hundreds and hundreds of people looking, it is, again, as a person, for those that are newer to the channel, I have seen it on a much smaller scale, but I've seen it done, and I've worked, like I said, I've assisted with Texas EquiSearch because, you know, I'm pretty good drone operator. And anyway,
especially in case someone were to get hurt, then resources would.
Okay, keep that in mind, what she just said, in case somebody gets hurt, because yes. Holy shit. In my searches, I've been in some very scary situations that just one little, especially at Aiden Clune, when we climbed a peak of a mountain that was steep as hell. And then trying to traverse back down it. Yeah, it was like one trip, and I mean, I don't know if I'd be dead, but I'd probably be broken just about every bone in my body.
Have to be diverted to help that person. So right now, they tell us they have started the conversation with local volunteer groups should they need them.
We begin tonight with an
exclusive one more clip
look
here
inside the ongoing search for Sebastian
Then we're going to get to the
Good
dogs.
evening, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. The 15-year-old disappeared 1 month ago from his Hendersonville home. And since then, there have been few updates from authorities.
The case is certainly frustrating, and we know it's impacted the entire community, which is why we're committed to sharing the very latest with you, including what's still being done now to find Sebastian.
Our Nick Barris was granted full access to the Sumner County Emergency Operations Center to find out and takes us inside in this exclusive report.
It was 1 month ago that Sebastian Rogers disappeared from his Hendersonville home. Now, this is one of the first times any.
Now, I've pointed this out so much because, again, this is where I like for missing, not, you know, with a criminal part angled to it, but just missing children, you know, that wander off woods, whatever. This is where technology is going to advance, and I think this is really going to help solve and find people faster. Thank God, because now, thanks to technology, you know, you can have an app on your phone, GPS, and you have they have Onyx Hunt, and I forget the other one that they used in this case. They may have used Onyx Hunt as well, but typically they use the other one, which I can't think at the top of my head, but it's the main one that they use. And so any of the searchers on the ground, they'll have that. They'll have the app, and they say, okay, I'm starting. And so they have a starting point. And so instead of back in the day where they'd have string or they would just tie ribbons, you know, and have to kind of guess where people have walked. And that's why there's so many cases that, you know, people were found exactly, you know, right where people had searched before. It's just probably because the search was, you know, they didn't have enough manpower and they were spread out thin. This now will eliminate that, and they can see pockets where they've missed. It's amazing. But this is fucking nuts. This is on a scale that I like. It's so hard to comprehend the amount of money, manpower, drones, helicopter, just holy shit.
Anyone's been inside the Sumner County Emergency Operations Center with a chance to take a look at all that's been done on this map
scale. This
to
is
help
nuts.
find the teen.
Well, this is the system that we use to track all of our searchers.
Ken Widener is director of Sumner County EMA, and from the beginning, he has
feel bad
spearheaded
for
the
that
official
guy.
search for Sebastian.
The investigation's still active.
It was nonstop
feel bad
during
for
the
that
first
guy.
8 days after the teen disappeared. No trace of him. The professional search effort has since been scaled back, though Widener appreciates volunteers who continue to look following their own leads.
But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because all these people are, depending on where they're traversing, woods, some areas are flat. Some areas, we know that there's pockets where you can drop down into, areas. We've seen it with, Crabtree's video and stuff. There are dangerous areas not far from his home that, could injure, one of these volunteers. And, in hindsight, in theory, if he never even made it home, all of this was for nothing. They were all looking in one area. They probably, I don't think they expected it to be this big. I guarantee you they did not expect it. And this is where I'm going to go into my other area, but we're going to divert for a second. I should have probably put these two together just to finish the same part, but I'm going to divert for a minute, but we're going to circle back to this. But it blows my mind because, again, I've been involved on a much smaller scale, but I know, like, this is insane. I hope to God the people, they throw the book at these people and make an example out of them, and they have to pay back every single dime that was spent searching for this poor child on behalf of their, the people responsible. Monte Foss, thank you so much. I think that equivalates to 10 to 20. I meant to look that up, but thank you so much for the donation. God bless you. Hope I didn't miss another one. I'll stop and check here in a second. Yeah, I mean,
areas to be checked.
Yeah, it makes me so disgusted. That is unreal. I mean, and this is like zoomed out. Like, this is like, there is so much going on. I wish I have some examples of Aiden Clune with this kind of, with Onyx Hunt on a much smaller scale, just to kind of show you. Maybe in another live, I'll show like an example of like, here's kind of a small scale, but still like hundreds of hours spent in it. And that's what we got. And then you look at this and it's like, it's unreal. It's unreal. So anyway, let's get to, I want to kind of switch gears for a minute, but we will circle back to this because there's also another thing that, goes on in this case that has, in my opinion, we've never seen happen before. So another interesting thing is to kind of try to combine the cemetery. Remember, they leave at 6:25, and as you can see here, it's only 5 miles. I thought it was more than that. So as you can see here, it's only 5 miles, but it's a 15-minute drive. You can take a couple of main ways, a few different ways. But for more or less, they're 15 minutes. So again, she should have gotten back there well before 7, but it seems like when the trash is taken out, it is after 7 p.m. What's interesting is that just over an hour later, so you could say in theory they switch him out somewhere, but they still need to get his clothes back. So maybe they're not far, maybe with him or maybe just with the clothes, who knows. So they're not far, right? Because still nobody's wise to his disappearance. They won't know for another 10 hours, whatever. So they meet up at the cemetery to get his clothes, and they wait there because there's strange activity going there. There's nothing going on before or after until about 3 a.m. Looks like 2 cars, and they're in the cemetery. I know it's really hard to see because you got the stadium light on. Again, it's always on, and then it kicks off at about 8 p.m. Then we have the silver sedan, and I'm not going to break this all down. I'm going to have a video, but we have done this obviously in previous lives. If you haven't seen it, you can. My last live, we broke it all down again. But I think the silver sedan signaled Carly, and then Carly signaled KK. And then we can see that the car had entered because we can see a camera that looks on Long Hollow. We see a car that was coming that way just before 3 a.m. And then just at 3 a.m. in 30 seconds, the silver sedan is seen going back this way. Then literally, we're talking like 3 minutes exactly. At 3:03 and 28 seconds, so literally 3 minutes later.
Either it was planned or he was lured out of the house or something triggered him to leave out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And walked out of the house. I personally feel he got to Long Hole Pike. And he got picked up in a car and they headed westbound on Long Hole Pike.
Wow.
What's eerie is
So Slipknot, that's a great, and that's a great statement. I don't see why it makes any difference with the clothes if he's missing. Well, remember, so here's the thing, is you got to remember that he was in his street clothes, and they needed to make that statement that he went to bed. And I think they pinned themselves in that way too. And that you make a great statement. They probably didn't think it all the way through, but remember, he was last seen at Texas Roadhouse in street clothes. He's in jeans and a t-shirt. But remember, he goes to bed. Before he goes to bed, he's now in his Adidas sweatpants, kind of, pajamas, but not pajamas, but, bedtime clothing. So you got to remember that what they really need is they need to get his shoes back. And obviously, if he changed, then they need to get all of his clothes back, not his shoes. And this will go into, you may have missed my last live where I revealed something that I'd learned a long time ago, but we couldn't quite figure it out. And now, with more insight, it now kind of comes together. Hopefully that makes sense. But I agree, when you kind of think of it like a surface level, it's like, yeah, he just ran off. Why would you worry about that? But again, they pinned themselves in because he had allegedly switched his clothes, and so again, they didn't think it through.
And she just missed the turn, but no problems. Here we go.
So anyway, I broke this down second by second, and again, I am going to release a video.
Now.
And
okay. Go about 10 miles.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a timer up, because the one thing is I just have the seconds on there.
You're not going to
and so you kind of have to take my word for it. So what I'm going to do when I release the videos, I'm going to have a timer showing all the seconds, because they add up. It adds right up. So anyway, so with this kind of broken down, this kind of shows that before this car arrived, subject 1 and 2 are already out there. They're already moving. Before we thought it was the silver sedan and it had let somebody out and then alerted Katie. But now we know so much more, and that was not the case. Another car came after the silver sedan. And these people are moving well before the car gets there, because we can see that when the car actually turns onto Stafford,
have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video,
and so there's the motion light that sets off, and that's when the car is coming up killing and turned on Stafford with all of its lights off. And I think they probably thought, with all of its lights off, maybe it's trying to go gingerly around the corner, that it wouldn't set off the motion light, but it did.
You see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear.
And so, we
quickly back through.
Add the 43 seconds of the drive. And again, this will be in the video. And if you missed my last live, I do break this down second by second, much more. But because I've kind of done it a couple times in a row, I don't want to do too much and a video's coming out on it.
Have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood.
So now this is going to get really interesting because I'm going to add the dogs in here in a minute. But so this is some of the new information. If you haven't been in my last 2 lives, there's some more information I've learned that kind of piece this together. So theory would be is now they need to get his clothing, his street clothes, right? Because they've now made the story up that, you know, when he made it home, he changed into his bedtime clothing. So obviously they've got to prove that he made it home, so they need his clothing. And really, I don't know why the shoes I think they goofed up on, but yeah.
Looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see...
And there is a weird light. Again, I don't know 100% if that's just pixelation or that's KK by the car grabbing something from the passenger side. Now, this is where new info, and I've mentioned in my last live, but it's old, but it's now more understood.
Subject 1 with a light source in the lower right.
Common area, flashlight video. That is a...
And so now, you know, we originally thought they went between the 2 homes, but now it does make sense. I always thought, God, this was probably the original idea that they were going to kind of probably take this this ditch, because even all the way up to that Stafford Court, it is, you know, even at this point here, it's still like 2 feet deep. You know, I think it starts like, and I'm guessing here like 2 feet, and then it gets around like 3 feet, and then when it gets back here, I think it can go up nearly 5 feet deep. That ditch, the storm drain ditch. And so that'd make a lot of sense. You know, you're lowered to the ground. Then you got the car here. And then you pick up the clothing. And then you have the scout, which again, I believe is the neighbor. Mr.
Big
Carley.
Ditch to jump. Big ditch. Sebastian's backyard, you'll see the no trespassing sign. Do not trespass.
And corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it.
And this is where, again, I'm going to do a members live after this. Probably go for another 30 minutes. I don't know. I might end up going 40 minutes, but then I'll do a members live and I'll just do a Q&A and answers questions as close as I can. But when you add the time up,
subject 2 reappears and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly
for those
back through the common area,
me,
and that.
Sorry, should turn that down. Know that I know all the seconds as far as the videos go. I have them all timed out, and then I just add in the gaps with, you know, thanks to Silver's on the scene. And it literally adds up to this post when he said, hey, look, there's nothing going on at 3:06 and 51 seconds, which is the neighbor's camera pointing towards KK's backyard. And we've since learned that these are what they call thumbnails. And these thumbnails, this is a Nest Google camera, kind of like the same one with Nancy Guthrie case. It doesn't record 24/7, although I think you could get upgraded. But most of these systems that people have, it just records any motion and then saves it. And so that means any thumbnails that you have, any screenshots, that means there is motion going on in this clip. And I'll explain. Again, there's some insider information that, again, I can only hint to. I can't explain every exact detail, but I know kind of what's on this clip. So anyway, he releases that again because he's such a genius. Again, fish sticks is the gift that keeps on giving. love baiting this guy. Love poking the dragon. Or poking the bear. You wish he was a dragon. Some ways, somehow, he will come home. I hope so. I pray. I really do. Okay. Caught up in chat here. So we're going to get to the docs here in just a second. But this is where I'm going to, if you missed, and I also, this was another thing that I completely forgot to do, is the starting point of KK, which is subject 2, and she starts out way out here compared to the floodlights, right? And so I'm like, I want to see, because after the information I heard about what's on that, in that clip that I just showed you in that thumbnail, what's actually in the video, kind of told me something. And then I'm like, let me just see what her finishing point is versus her starting point. And when I mean finishing, starting, when did she start revealing the flashlight versus, at the beginning when she's coming out versus when she's running back. And if you notice, she is much closer to the floodlights than when she started it out. And I think that's probably a lot to do with you're in a rush, that if that makes sense, and you're trying to do this cover up, allegedly, right? And so you're in a rush, and you're going to make a mistake. Then there was an old rumor. Do you guys remember, and I've asked you guys this before, but for anybody that missed my live last Thursday, do you guys remember the rumor about a video capturing a subject hauling something over their shoulder, like they were carrying something? Let me know in chat. I know if you were here on Thursday, and then you've heard this, but if you weren't here on Thursday, then this will kind of blow your mind, because I also learned this, and this backs up both. This was wild. This was coming like 2 different sources, and then like they literally, I think we had, again, it's one of those things that's like a telephone game where like we kind of have the story, but we don't have like the proper details. We know parts of the details, but they're not, not exactly, they may have been adulterated, interpreted a certain way, but yet actually it was true in a sense, but it wasn't exactly what we thought it was. Okay, so this is going to blow your mind, especially if you weren't here Thursday. Yes. Yes, and this goes along with another source, and I swear on my life, this is 2 different sources kind of combining this, and then it's just like, oh yeah, this completely makes sense. And then along with the evidence I just showed that she completely ran past, and here's the edge of the home, right? This white line, that's not white line, yellow line, that's the edge of the home, right? So the fence kind of goes along here. So that common area is kind of to the left, but they would have ran, and so they would have set off this video with a light probably, because she ran much further. But what she also did is she got closer to this home. Let me pull up Google Earth here. And we haven't even got to the dog part. This will then just go full, hopefully blow some minds again. And this is why I haven't put out the video yet. So, when she's coming out, she, reveals herself somewhere around the, which would make sense. She kicks on the light somewhere around the ditch, right? Because she knows there's a ditch. Obviously doesn't want to trip and fall. But when coming back, I think because you're in a rush, you keep going and you go further. And then remember, there's that camera, and its field of view would be like, we could almost even measure it, because the camera is like right here. And of course, looking this way. So and we can kind of see through. So again, she runs past, like, I guess I should have drawn a line. She runs past any of this part. She sets that camera off. And she did. But on top of that, so remember the carrying over the shoulder. Well, that allegedly came from this home here. They actually had a camera. Now, when they went to their home originally, for some reason, the homeowners couldn't figure out. They thought their camera got screwed up, and they couldn't look at the footage. And so about a week later, I don't know which agency comes, TBI or whatever. They come and they look at it, and they go, "Oh." And then I think they even show it to them. Again, details on that are a little bit fuzzy, but in general, basically, they see a subject that comes up close to their home, and they had a floodlight, like not the floodlights that's on the garage, but I think they had like a floodlight that was maybe like here or something. And what they did is, as they were crossing, so I'm not sure where this camera's at, but it's there. And they said this individual is seen carrying something, and they have something kind of on their shoulder as they're walking. Now, of course, when we heard that, this is where we kind of had that lateral thinking, right? We have the 2D, however you want to call it, thinking. And again, of course, everybody did, me. And so we're thinking, oh, that's her carrying a body this way, not body, but, not in the sense that he may be dead, but, unconscious, whatever. She's carrying Sebastian. And that's what it was interpreted as. Now, although this allegedly did happen, the interpretation was not fully, correct. And if you think about it, if she did pick up a bag of his clothes, right, like a duffel bag, she would have then went over and then went too far, got close to their home, set off their camera as well. So not only setting this one off, and she was captured. They couldn't see the individual themselves. They could only see like the outline of them, but they could tell that they had something kind of like doing this. And yeah, I think that, yeah, Sassy. So I think we're kind of talking about two different things. The ruckus via, yeah. Don't give me a start on the ruckus. Yeah, I would just scratch that from your head. But this part I can tell you because, again, it confirms with a completely different source. And so, again, we're thinking she's coming this way with somebody over her shoulder. But if you think about it, she's actually going this way with a bag of clothing that's Sebastian's. And she's now going to go walk in the front door and, put the shoes down near the front door. And then whatever, from there. But yeah, that did happen. Person was caught going in between. And they add up 100%. I don't want to say 100%, but they add up, right? We just kind of had, it backwards, right? A little bit. Mountains Man Swag. Is it Mountain Man Swag? I like that name. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless you. Okay. So now, with that part added in, and remember, front porch light was off. They never have their front porch light off. And again, we've always kind of, talked about, which way did she come out, come back in, and that crawl space door looked really good. I really didn't think the back door, just because, she'd have to get around that camera. Not to say it's not impossible, but I could tell you 99%. Out of the 3 doors, it's 90% the front door. Which, again, I don't think should surprise too many people. I mean, there's only so many ways. You're not going in through the garage. There's lights. But, yeah. No, not the Ruckus video. No. No, there was an old, and I think it did come from Bobby, and it came from that home. They had surveillance. They just couldn't figure out how to work it themselves. But then a week later, when TBI or whoever came, they looked at it, and then I think they showed them a little bit, and then they, of course, took it all, probably. But they had told them, yeah, there's like an individual. We could see an individual, and they were carrying something. And then I think that got turned into, they were carrying Sebastian's body out. And again, it made sense for the longest time for our, when we thought he made it home. But now, when you think about the duffel bag and his clothing, it fits in. It fits in so perfect, in my opinion. Were his clothes missing? Not sure. It depends on which ones you're talking about. The street clothes, because I'd assume those ones are all made it back. This would be the mission, is to get his clothing back, because, again, the narrative is he then changed into his pajamas. So again, if they hadn't done that, then, like as Slipknot said, this seems like kind of stupid. Why wouldn't you just leave the clothes out? But you gotta remember that he had to switch into his nighttime clothing. So that means if his clothing that was seen on the street, they couldn't find that, especially his shoes. Yeah, now I kind of see the argument, because, yeah, both ways. But anyway, I don't want to get it too convoluted, but anyway, let's add in the dogs now. I also told you guys, so here's a picture where, look, there's a porch light on, but of course that night it was off. That was done on purpose so she could get in and out without setting the camera off across the street. They also had the keypad lock, which actually had an app to it, which actually recorded logs. And we know that a particular agency came in later trying to help find Sebastian, had conversations with Katie about that. And when they asked to see the logs, she ghosted them. And this is a pretty big, foundation that came in to help, and then they, yep. But yeah, don't confuse the Ruckus video with the story of that. That's two separate things. Even though that happened at like the same house, that's like those two are unrelated. I guess you could say I could see where you could kind of like try to combine them. But again, we know the Ruckus video is all just for showed. That's people trying to take advantage of people that don't understand like lighting and zooming in and the size of things, and just, taking advantage of people that, again, not everybody has their knowledge set in
his glasses and his keychain flashlight.
That could be too, Michelle. Yeah, she could have been bringing stuff out. So it could be two ways. Yeah, she could have probably brought stuff out. That's a great statement, Michelle. Okay, this is where we add the dogs in, and this is where I was thinking laterally again, and not 3D and out of the box. And now with this, I'm like, holy shit, this makes even much more sense. even though it made sense, we kind of made it fit the narrative of when they were trying to bring him out. But listen to this, and then I'm going to show you guys something.
If you're looking at my house.
Now, this is narc divers. For anybody who doesn't know, they went in to help with this case. They also ended up having a very bad experience with Crispy and them, and ended up getting out pretty quickly. And I'll show that a little bit later. That's my last part of my show. But let me show you the dogs. I'm going to go full screen for a second. Oh, I don't want to get into it right now. I don't. I think those two words just need to be, I almost want to take ruckus out of my tag. No offense to you, Sasha, or anybody that's mentioned it. It's just, it is just literally taking advantage of people's what's the proper word? Just taking advantage of people that don't understand what they're looking at, and then they're taking their content creator's word for it, right? And it makes me disgusted. They blew up the floodlights, and if you look at the floodlights, because remember the person that's recording that is with the camera, so those are moving all the time, even though those lights aren't moving at all. It's the person recording a screen, and people zoomed in on that, and then they used some brightness and darkness, and then they used the outlines that are really just the trees to try to say, oh, there's figures, and they're having an argument in front of the driveway, and the size difference, they would have to be 10-foot giants. Again, I'm done. Okay, Ruckus video, that was explained. It is nonsense. Yeah, it's not. It's nothing, Sasha. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to delete people's comments, but I would just encourage. If I get time at the end, I'll pull it up and I'll explain it. I promise you, it is literally, you're looking at floodlights zoomed in. That's all it is. There's nothing to it. You guys know me. I wouldn't. Yeah, it's a tree fight. That is what it is. It is dumb as. Okay, let's not. This is like the big reveal. Please, if I get a chance, I'll pull it up and I'll explain it in 2 seconds and show how ridiculous and stupid and just like, it's just the content creator taking advantage of people that, don't. Again, not everybody's knowledgeable about security, surveillance, distance, all that, right? Yeah. So anyway, the dogs. Whew. Yeah, the tree fight. That's what it is. It's the tree fight. It really is. It's so, oh, God. Again, it's nobody's fault in chat. It's nobody's fault in chat. I know some people like ruckus, because you hear ruckus and, yeah. I don't blame people for being like, oh, what's this?
Right-hand side. The dog goes all...
Okay. Listen to, this is Crispy talking to narc divers. They came in, like April. And obviously their specialty is searching water, right? Narc divers. They have a YouTube channel and everything. Great group of people. And yeah, they wanted to help. And so anyway, they're asking about the dog scent in any way. And so here's Chris talking about the dogs and where they went. And this is so important that I'm going to go full screen because I promise you this will be mind-blowing.
All the way down the fence, the dog comes all the way back up into the yard, and then it cuts diagonally to the house next door to us through their backyard. And that is the direction which the dogs take off. Now after that, that's where they get over to the main road, go up Kellen, and head over to the other subdivision.
Okay.
I mean,
how many? Yeah, a lot of dogs.
But day one, there was 5 dogs. There was a Belgian Malinois.
This is really important.
A blue healer, 2 bloodhounds, and a blue tabby. In the 8 days of the aquarium pen searching, in the 8 days, on day 1, the 5 dogs did that. Out of the 8 days, 3 3 different dogs from 3 different groups went to that same area in that same set. On day 1, 2 of those dogs did the same path.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that was the bloodhound and the blue tape. From what I was told, that's why I was like, well,
there
we go, folks. That's why out of all the dogs, there was at least 3 consistent hits.
But so 3 go up, but 2 go down. Keep that in mind, because. But the main thing is the dog that goes diagonally. Now, for those that have been with me, they've seen this diagram. It really fit in. It made a big stir. But I promise you, this is where I was looking at something laterally and not 3D. And now we're seeing this under a different light. And I promise you, hopefully this will blow some minds.
Right. Where did the strongest pack? Yeah, the strongest, most recent scent.
And there was a couple dogs. Like one dog went over Long Hole Pike
south
and got there and he lost his scent. The rest of the dogs all picked up scent, but then they go in all different directions.
And there's his own words. They all basically, and he's basically saying they all get to Stafford and Killen, and they all go. Some go up, some go down. Okay, so keep that in mind, right? So it tells you that something here causes these dogs that there's no consistency. This is very important.
Dogs all picked up scent, but then they go in all different directions.
I apologize. It's hard.
The dog popped to a trail, and they followed it and went all the way around, and it ended in a construction site, but it ended. It's like there was nothing there. It leads me to believe that, well, if it ends, normally the scent ends when you stop traveling on foot. From my understanding, that would mean that he got into a car.
Right.
Partly
where
right.
The strongest pack, yeah. The strongest, most recent.
Next door to us through their backyard. And that
okay.
To the main road, go up
so this made sense for my original theory, where okay, and I kind of made the dogs go because we kind of thought they were going between the homes, right? That was kind of original theory.
The other subdivision.
Okay.
But now, with our new understanding, and now check this out. This is gonna be wild, and again, I wanted to go live so bad yesterday because I think I thought of it the night before, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss this? So, and we're going to listen to Crispy one more time. For those that missed it, but the dog, and maybe I should play that part where he talks about it going diagonal. I think it comes up. But the dog, what it did is, let me go back.
Like one dog got there. Now it cuts that off. Now
yeah, right here. Oh, sorry.
If you're looking at my
we're looking at his house, right?
House.
Okay.
It's going to be the
right hand side. Okay.
Hand side. The dog goes all the way down the fence.
The dog goes all the way down the fence, right? Because it's their home, and then their fence line goes up, it's a rectangle, right? But the dog goes up, okay? Then the dog is going to come back, very important.
The dog comes all the way back up into the yard,
right here.
And then it cuts diagonally to the house next door to us through their backyard.
Okay.
And that.
Now, I kind of made him go over here, but if you actually cut it proper diagonally, which I'm going to show in the new, and then he says the dogs, well, let me finish this part.
And that is the direction which the dogs take off. Now, after that.
And the dogs take off. Yes, this is Crispy talking. This is Crispy. Okay. And remember, Now, this is my old model, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit because, it was still partly right of, how the dog went, right? But now with our new information, we don't think they went between, they actually went to the car. So now, and that is a true diagonal cut. Now listen to this. So the dog, again, remember, it goes down the fence line, comes back up, and then it cuts diagonally down, right? Now, made this a little bit slower than I anticipated. Sorry about that. Okay, but then the key thing is that he said a lot of these dogs, not all of them, but he said a lot of these dogs did the same thing where they'd cut down and then they split off. Some, like 3 went up killing, and he said a couple dogs went down south, right? So it tells you that somewhere here the dogs lose something, right? This is very important. Now, sorry. And yeah, sorry, my animation is much slower than I thought it would, but just showing that the dogs, they split up, right? But yet, depending on, their narrative, like Crabtree or Fish Sticks, they want to use the one dog, although there was like God knows how many 8+ dogs used, and they all went all these different directions, and a couple of them went into the construction zone. Some of them went south to Long Hollow. But the main thing we're going to focus on is the diagonal, and then the fact that they all just split off from there, right? So, happy Monday, Play Girl. Good to see you. So, dang, I made this a little bit slower than I wanted it to. All right, now we add in what KK did, right? So this is, kind of the projected path, right? Even though she kind of went this way and then kind of cut back, what it kind of appears like. Although when they go back, it does look like they just go at a diagonal line, which is very important. This is where it's like you're thinking laterally, front to back, left to right, front to back, whatever. And this is more, I guess, 3D outside the box thinking. Okay, so remember, Katie gets to the car, right? Allegedly. And now, okay, sorry. This is where it gets really important. I'm going to blow some minds here in just a second. It's coming up. Hit that like button. I promise it's going to be good. So now remember, in theory, she now has some kind of like duffel bag of his clothes, right? So she is now carrying Sebastian's scent. Let me repeat that. She is now carrying Sebastian's scent because she's got his clothing that he was just in that night. And she is now, and I've got I went way too slow on this diagram. I apologize. Let's see if I can kind of speed this up. But she basically goes the same direction the dog does.
The dog goes all the way down the fence.
Okay, now let's just listen to this one more time. But now we got to think, instead of laterally, left to right, let's think about it backwards.
The dog comes all the way back up into the yard, and then it cuts diagonally to the house next door to us through their backyard. And that is the direction which the dogs take off. Now after that,
the dogs,
that's
plural.
where they get over to the main road.
Plural. Dogs take off, plural. And they get to the main road, Stafford and Kellen.
Go up Kellen and head over to the other subdivision.
Okay.
I mean,
how many? Yeah.
Are you guys ready? Hey, you got some of you guys have probably already put it together, but
there was a Belgian Malinois, a blue healer.
Okay, you can fuck off, Chris. Sorry. Snarky Chris has been released. Unreleased the Kraken. So, you guys got it yet? The dog is literally just working backwards. Right? He is capturing that last scent of Sebastian's clothing, fresh scent that he was just in, that Mama allegedly just ran back with. And that is why the dogs are in the position and the direction they go. And if we just work the dog backwards, it is literally the direction KK would have been carrying his scent. Again, if we just had it, we're looking at it one direction, but, we kind of open our minds a little bit and work it backwards. And again, you can work it forwards and backwards, really. But then you add in the fact that what Chris says here, I don't know if I replay it again, but the dogs keep ending up over here, and then they split off because that's where the scent's gone. And the dog literally made it back to the house. It ran the fence line and literally back to the house and then cut diagonally down. It was just literally working backwards. It blew my mind. I'm like, how did I not think about this? It all just, to me, it is all coming together. And of course, it doesn't solve the case, but this is where I say, if a video or a picture, could speak 1,000 words, what this person's thinking, their dog, this dog is probably freaking out around this little area, but they can't get any further because they get to the street and they're going all different directions because the scent's now gone. Right? It keeps picking up that scent near the home in that diagonal area that we literally see the lights moving. It is there. Oh my God, my jaw dropped. I'm glad people appreciate it. I really appreciate because that blew my mind. So one last thing, and then we'll do a members live only after this. But let's get to this last of the part where I'm going to come full circle with the groups, and I'm going to share something with you guys as well. I think it does, Cinderella. I really do. I think there's a lot we still don't know, but Mama, thank you, Chris, for your hard work.
One other question I have is
thank you so much for the 8 months membership, continued support. God bless you. Patty, thanks, Chris. Appreciate all your videos. Thank you so much. Michelle, thank you so much for the $1.99. Little Miss Sharon gifted a Mob Crew membership. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Mountain Man Swag, I think I got you, but thank you again for the support. Flag Girl, Chris, you're amazing. Oh. Again, I always say it. I can never say it enough. I would be nothing without you guys. Let's see. Okay. Making sure.
Recently, Channel 5 in Nashville, they had security footage that showed 2 flashlights the night he disappeared. Is there anything that you think about this video? Or
Sure. So...
Oh, there we go. Fixed it.
There's a lot of speculations about that video that are floating on the internet. Okay, and that is exactly what it is. It's
good to see you.
Now, what it can give you,
if you want to get your hands around my throat, you're gonna need a booster. You might need a stool or something. I'm 6'3", so just wanted to add that in.
Is TBI Newslink has released a statement.
Anyway, I love playing this video because I her face. Oh, you guys can't see her face. Gosh darn it. Her face speaks volumes.
Law enforcement's between local law enforcement.
So anyway, last thing I'm going to share here, and this is interesting as well. Let's not forget that Carly, the person that has this footage, right, went around saying that he did not capture anything. Multiple witnesses heard that. And then I forgot about this, which is hilarious, that he actually, the only thing he caught that night was a cat, which I think I might have cut out. But in the next unreleased clip by Crabtree, the unedited version, shows another thumbnail, which would have a video to it, and it's the cat. So, anyway. So last thing here.
And at the school, connected to.
Again, still waiting on a response from SF and Crabtree. You know, I always put out my arguments. Like I said, I would love for them to explain the 3D scanner. Again, for anybody that may have missed, hasn't been around, you see anybody that tries to say that, you know, they didn't have anything to do with it, or the 3M lights didn't happen where they say they happened, say, well, explain this, and show them the screenshot of the 3D scanner, because that tells you, like, they wouldn't bring that in for any missing person. So last thing I want to go over, and it speaks so much volumes, is think about all the groups that came in kind of after the initial major search, right? All these people that, you know, God bless their souls, that, you know, do these volunteer jobs. And so we have United Cajun Navy first. That was, you know, helping in the beginning as well. And remember, they got threats.
Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals. As you can imagine.
Have you been able to identify that they were Sebastian?
We are still investigating.
And on the Cajun Navy, have you found how is that coordination happening? Have you found their work helpful? Are you guys working in unison or a separate team?
The Cajun Navy is operating independently. They have not reached out to us.
Have you found their investigation or their work helpful, or has it been one of the distractions that have been mentioned?
One of the things that I really appreciate they've done is print flyers and keep Sebastian's face out there. It's my hope that one day somebody sees something and calls in and this case breaks wide open and we find Sebastian.
They claim they've received threats. To your knowledge, have they filed any police reports or reports to the Sheriff's Department documenting any of these alleged threats?
No, sir.
So I want to show a pattern that I've never seen. Again, covered a lot of different cases, and maybe even if I didn't cover, I've heard of other cases that are going on. Again, not saying I'm an expert in missing persons cases, but I have my experience 4+ years now on YouTube. Cajun Navy, they were out there helping. They were out there in Tennessee, not far away, helping with the Riley Strand case. Literally, there's them. And then they, you know, because they're already out there, then they hear that Sebastian's, you know, missing. So, you know, they're out there trying to help. And I've spoke to a couple of team members that were helping them, and they start getting death threats, right? And then, of course, you literally had Craddock being asked, like, you know, we heard that they were getting death threats. Did they ever call that in? And he said, no. Well, that's absolute bullshit. I've spoken to 2 people independent to these interviews. This Nancy Grace, I was going to get the clip, but I just didn't have enough time. But this is one of the guys for the Cajun Navy, and he literally says, yeah, we called it in and everything. And Sumner County, Craddock flat out lied, said no. And on top of that, they noticed that, you know, because they were also handing out flyers. And again, in a case, I've never heard of threats against volunteers and flyers being taken down. Okay, well, maybe that's a fluke. Maybe they pissed somebody off, right? Maybe they went onto a property and now they're getting followed around by some psycho or whatever. Okay, maybe it's a fluke. Okay. Then
Proudfoot intentionally send narc divers on a wild goose chase. Are they now angry with him over this? Narc divers recently released a phone call with Cress, and I want to share a few clips of it. But before I do that, I want to share this comment they left on that video. Any further contact from the aforementioned individual is not expected nor welcomed.
And that's Narc Divers. That was shortly after they released that video and the phone call, because they went out there looking for, trying to help, and they were going to search the ponds, because obviously that's their specialty. And they find out, and there's actually another statement. Do I have it? There's a statement before this, and the individual they're talking about is Crispy, right? Because it involves the phone call. So there's, they're literally talking about Crispy. Did it cut out? Oh, there's the first. I think this is the first part of it. In recent events, it is evident that an individual in question, which is Crispy, has initiated contact with me and voluntarily inserted themselves into our search efforts. And again, that is really odd. It's one thing to be working together, because typically, parents, again, because I always tell people the Sebastian case is that 1% that makes it to the top, right? That people are so invested in. When you have all the 99 other percent of thousands, hundreds, tens of thousands of missing person cases actively going on, but more than that, of course, throughout the U.S. And there's only that 1% that gets unfortunately, or fortunately gets the attention. And usually the family members are happy and they're out working together, and then it's like, he wants to go do his search, but then it's like Crispy is trying to insert himself. From what I'm getting at. Here's
part of the video, Narc Divers.
And they got a weird feeling, and they dipped out. Right. I want to speak for them, right? Because I know they did some shows, and I forget exactly what they said, but they, it was not good. And it went downhill quick, right? So now you have another agency that comes in, or nonprofit, whatever you want to call it, that's wanting to come in. Again, they're not getting really paid. I mean, if you're your YouTube channel, you can kind of turn that into a profit, in a way. But all the stuff done before is, on your own dime, right?
You're looking at my house. I'm gonna tell you where the dog sent.
Then we have the Uvalde Foundation. Now, again, I know when you hear Uvalde, you hear that terrible, shooting incident, but this is the foundation that was built after that. This isn't the same Uvalde police force that is a disgrace. This is the foundation that was built after, and they were also involved. And guess what happened with them? They got threats as well. But this is what's very interesting in this post. And they posted so much more stuff. And in my opinion, and I'll give one last thing before I'll read a little bit of chat and then finish up so I can do the members. But they basically say, like, look, we came in, we tried to help, but it, started getting threats, this and that. Same thing with all the other agencies came in. Then, I love this. In the same post, they say, just as holding parents accountable when their child enters a school and takes lives, the foundation asserts that holding family members publicly accountable when their child is endangered or harmed in any way due to their potential negligence or worse is also most appropriate. Say that again, due to their potential negligence or worse. And I couldn't agree 100%. Like, if he goes missing under your care, KK, and you can't prove 100% otherwise that he was taken, he ran on his own, and he goes missing under your watch, you should be held responsible. And then they drop a bombshell. And I'll tell you a little bit about, like, just from what I've learned by working with, assisting in some of these kind of things. Now, as the case has gravitated towards a criminal investigation, which, oof, that set the internet off. I don't know if you guys remember that. That really, because, they tried to say, oh, it's an investigation side of it now, but they never used the word criminal. But they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. So these groups, Uvalde, Narc Divers, and Cajun Navy, with all their different specialties, when they come into these cases, right, these missing person cases, right, they're not just going to go in blindly and aimlessly and just go start searching random areas, right? They're coming in, especially depending on, like Narc Divers or Cajun Navy, which typically is boats. I think they do a lot of other stuff, but, clearly have assets that, are expensive. And everybody, again, it's on their dime. They're not just going to come into this case like blindly. They're going to, and usually, I would say 99% of the time, the family is more than happy to work with them together, give them as much information, details, timeline, so they have the best up-to-date information as to where to zero in the pockets that maybe been missed. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And I think, and I kind of know a little bit, and when I say I know, I'm just a little bit. I think they learned really quick that the parents did not want to cooperate. And when I say parents, I mean KK and Crispy. Didn't want to cooperate. Then they started getting weird death threats. And they didn't really know where to put their assets. And they're probably just like, what the fuck? Like, this is so odd. And then again, it's one thing to have like one incident, one foundation maybe could have ended up on a wrong property and pissed somebody off, then have some psycho follow them around. No, this happened in like multiple agencies, a nonprofit, whatever, coming in, and they're all having the same experience, but they all, before they come in, just like when Narc Divers is having that call with Crispy, again, Narc Divers isn't going to come out and just blindly start searching areas. They need to get info, and typically it's the family members, obviously, right? And then maybe some law enforcement. So they do a little bit of PI work. And so, and again, I think, with Uvalde kind of coming in last, I think they knew, like, they heard. And then remember how Cajun Navy got, they got some really serious death threats. And I think the timing of that is very interesting. And I wish I could really give my opinion on what I think a particular incident may have been. I think there might have been a multitude, but I think there was a couple of big ones. And yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me see what you guys got here. Oh, yeah, there's one more thing. This one.
Had them download an app that actually showed us where they were staying.
Sartopo.
Yeah.
Sartopo,
So
that's
we
the
knew
other one.
exactly where they went.
Okay.
Onyx on
And so
Sartopo.
We've done that,
Sartopo's
well, we did it for a whole week, and then we've gone back and we did it another 2 days, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so we drained ponds.
I knew you guys did that.
Yeah, it was so disgusting. They were so upset.
As far as I know, all the footage of every camera.
They did.
On either street.
And just nothing.
That's nothing. We see him go into the house, but we never see him come out of the house.
It's so strange.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. But, we have footage where they were in Hendersonville eating, and they left there and went to their house.
Right.
We saw them go in the house, and then 6:20 maybe, he comes out.
See, and he says 6:20, but I think I think, and let me know. Again, I'm kind of speculating, but I'm pretty sure this, whatever happened, the incident where the garbage trash, it happened 7 to 7:20, and I think when he said 6:20, I think he just had the hour off.
Takes the trash to the end of the road, at the end of the driveway, and we see him go back in the house, turn on some lights in his bedroom. That's it.
That was from a neighboring camera, I'm assuming.
It's
It's from a neighboring camera.
We even got thermal imaging.
Is it pretty dark by then? That was before the time change? It was before the time change, right?
So we had at least 200 volunteers that were in law enforcement.
Volunteers.
First responders.
I could get injured at any moment. Again, I've gone over this. It just disgusts me because I've been a volunteer, multiple times, and been in some very scary situations and had some close calls. And there's no insurance. There's no, this is doing it out of goodness of your heart. And I would do it again, to help missing people. But that's what just makes me so upset with these people, because the end of the story is basically, if he never made it home, they were all looking. I'm trying to pull up that. Where's the billboard? They're all looking in this one area, but he was likely, east, south, anywhere but here. Long before they got there, he was gone. And it bugs the shit out of me. Yeah, I think he got a hold of some of the Sartopo. I don't know if they would have given him everything. They may have asked, like, okay, what area you're interested in searching. Again, this is just nuts. I can't even fathom this when I look at that. It's so insane. Okay, Lynn. Oh, we just went over most of it. I'm going to do a members live right after. If you want to join, I could answer some questions. Okay. Just because I said it, real quick, I'm going to do the ruckus thing real quick, and I'll end it. Give me just a second here. God, I can't believe this video. Looking at it again. Oh my God. Shame on you. Where's the original one where I don't have to... God. Do I have to really go through a freaking live show?
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the drums. I'm gonna hit drum.
That's right. Oh my God, 5-hour live show. Oh my God, how do you guys do this? Okay. She took the 3M video, right? I'm pretty sure it was her, right? She took this video, zoomed
of everything you heard about the flashlights. Clear it. Just forget it. Just forget everything. So
yeah, forget everything, and I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna use what you don't understand. I'm gonna brighten the shit out of everything. Let me get it closer. Okay. So what you're looking at? Oh my God. This is the floodlights zoomed in, and she's got all sorts of filters on this thing. And so remember, the person that's recording it is moving around. So all this movement is not really movement. It's really the camera, and it's just picking up different light. And Does she play it? Yeah. So it's the camera moving and it's the lights because the trees are probably, they're kind of absorbing. And I think because she's got the lightness up. Anyway, long story short, she look at that. She says there's like 3 people. But again, if these are floodlights, because these are floodlights, if these are floodlights that are 10 feet off the ground, right? 10 feet off the ground, and their heads are basically towards the top of the light source, that means these people are 8 to 9 foot giants having some kind of debacle in front of the driveway. It is just like, oh my God. But again, a lot of people, when you don't have the context to the stuff, right? You can, it just, and that's just shows you the kind of person, right? You take advantage of them. Yeah, Seth, that was trees. It's trees and the lighting because they jacked some filters up. And then of course you add in again that the person's filming it with their cell phone. So you've got 2 different things. You've got the movement of the video itself, which of course the light especially is going to kind of do funky stuff when you start filtering it like this. And then again, you just break it down. That's the floodlights. They're 10 feet tall. If that's their head, then these guys are 8 to 9 foot tall. And they're giants. And again, it's just nonsensical. It's nonsensical. Yeah, I wonder, I set the prayers and hopefully you got back to my email. I need to check my email. But yeah, I wonder what different would have been like if he would have, fortunately didn't pass away. This would have changed. Yeah, he wasn't doing good during the investigation. Kiki, thank you so much for the membership. All right, I'm going to do my live so I can kick over to that. So it's 7:40. Give me 5 minutes. I'll set it at the 45-minute mark, and then we'll do a little quick Q&A to finish up. But Seth, in my prayers, I doing everything I can with my platform to keep Sebastian's name out there, and everybody in this chat. I would be nothing without you. I could not do my part for Sebastian Rogers without you guys' amazing support. Oh no. Yeah, keep me updated, Seth. I literally broke down how to break down those files that I sent you. Yeah, if you get that fixed, let me know. I will, if you have to call me, I'll run it through for you, if needed. Whatever I can do for you, I am here. Yeah, and that's just taking advantage of, people's not understanding the full context, right? You take anything out of context, and when you don't have that full context, you can. And again, this was at the height of Sebastian Rogers. Everybody's talking about it, and I think I'd done the 3M video maybe just before that. So yeah. Anyway, but I've debunked it. It's stupid. Anyway, all right, guys, mods. Yeah, I'm gonna do another. I'll try to do a members live hour tops. It's really just a kind of a Q&A, but for the members, if you guys want to come join, I'll start it up in about 5 minutes after this live. I'm gonna play the pet outro, and I'll probably do another live tomorrow and then take Wednesday off. But yeah, with that, we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. It is my pleasure, Seth.
You in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you now. You beg me, please. Hey. Now I stay away. You were never meant to save me. Now I stay away, I'll hear you say you're sorry. Hate I even loved you, hate I fell in love with you. Hate I even loved you, hate I kinda fell in love with you. Hate I even loved you, hate I fell in love with you. Hate I even loved you, hate I kinda fell in love with you. With you, I cried with you.
Alright guys, we'll see members, we'll see you in about 5 minutes. I'll set up a thing. Mods, I'll see you guys there. Thank you, mods, as always. God bless you guys.